Sağ olun. Mən yəni bundan sonra çox istəyirəm siz bu Məmməd Əminin, bu böyük Məmməd Əminin bu sözlərini oxuyasınız və mən mərzumə başlayım. Fərhad müəllim konferansının təşkilinə görə təşəkkür edirəm və hörmətli auditoriya. Azərbaycan xalqının və Azərbaycan dövlətçiliyin tarixində Azərbaycan Xalq Cümhuriyyətinin yaradılması şübhəsiz ki, bəlkə də ən əlamətdar hadisədir. Amma inanın ki, bu yeni yaradılan Cümhuriyyətin Azərbaycan adlandırılmasının da tarixi əhəmiyyəti bəlkə işte o dövlətin yaradılmasından o qədər də az əhəmiyyət daşımır. Çünki bu gün bu bizə çox normal görünə bilər. Yəni ki, bəs nə olmalıydı? Amma gəlin bu bir tarixə bir nəzər salsaq, görürsünüz ki, Məmməd Əminin özü də şəhadət eləyir ki, Azərbaycanın nəinki haqqını almaq, heç adını çəkmək belə o dövr üçün çox müşkül bir məsələlərdən biri idi. Nə üçün? Və bu tarixə, bu Azərbaycan adının bir coğrafi anlamdan çıxıb gəlib, bir siyasi anlam almağı bir tarixinə çox qısa bir nəzər salaq. Və əvvəlcədən qeyd eləyək ki, tarixən Azərbaycan adı həqiqətən o Atropatenadan başlayaraq bugünkü o İran dövlətinin şimalı və bizim Cənubi Azərbaycan adlandırdığımız ərazilərə aid olub. Və mən burada 1, 2, 3 ən belə qərəzsiz xəritələr göstərirəm. Bu Cambridge tarixinin xəritəsidir və orada siz özünüz də görərsiniz ki, Azərbaycan haradır və bugünkü o Şimali Azərbaycan əraziləri vaxtilə Alban, Aran, Şirvan, Qarabağ adlandırılıb. Amma elə bir obyektivliyi şübhə doğurmayan digər xəritələr də var ki, bax, burada o xəritə yaxşı görünmür. Amma mən bu xəritəni özüm görmüşəm. Hollandiyanın, bu Leiden Universitetinin ən o qədim o xəritələr saxlanılan yerində 1881-ci il, 88-ci ilin xəritələridir. Orada yenə deyirəm, bu görünmür. Amma Azərbaycan adı özü də Map of Azərbaycan xəritə adlanır. Gəlir ta Abşerona kimi o adı uzadıb qoyublar. Yəni ki, belə xəritələr də var və bu qərəzsiz bir xəritədir. Çünki məsələn Təbrizdə bu Azərbaycan tarixi bir böyük bir muzeyi var. Girəndən çıxana qədər bir böyük bir zal, hamısı xəritələrdir.
So these are all maps but there are some maps that way we cannot see the name of Azerbaijan, but in the beginning of the 19th century, we'll look back into the 19th century and its beginning. The word of Azerbaijan on both shores of banks of the Aras River. This is the Gülistan and Turkmen-Chay agreements. After these agreements were concluded, we can see the maps, all Azerbaijani Khanates. They were involved into the constitution of the Russia as the Karabakh and other Khanates, and the agreement was made with the Russian Empire. And later in the Southern Caucasus, if we look at the Azerbaijani map, we can see that in line with the administrative setup of Russia, you can see the Baku province, Elizabethpol, the Ganja was called Elizabethpol, and the Yerevan province, until the republic was built. Here we cannot see the name of Azerbaijan as the administrative setup, but among the people living there, the word Azerbaijan, the Azerbaijani, popped up because these people should have been called somehow. And that's interesting that the Khanates in Iran, for example, for centuries, those people already were called the Turks by the Russian Empire for its own new population. It was the same population, same people, and they did not accept the word Turks. As you can see, the name Persians, Persians, Muslims, Tatars, Caucasus Tatars in the best way, the Azerbaijani Tatars, and then alien peoples. It's interesting. In 1837, when in the documents on the resettlement of Azerbaijanis and Armenians, Griboyedov, for example, called those people Azerbaijansi. Then in the following periods, we'll look into the Russian literature. We can see in the Brakaus Efron's dictionary, there are 3 articles. There was the article separately called Azerbaijan because it was shown in the geographical way as the Iranian territory. So in all the 3 articles, when they spoke about Persians, they called that not all the population were Persians. They were Farsi. Not all of them were Farsi or Persians. And because Persians, they should be used as the Iranian meaning in most cases. So they showed they are not Persians. They are Azerbaijanis, Kurdish. So they separate Muslim countries, Muslim nations. In the Turkish part in this article, there's a very important notion. They call the Turks Iranian type Turks, and then Azerbaijani, Persian, and Caucasus. So these part shows the end of the 19th century in the Russian public opinion, Azerbaijanis were shown as the nation. If it used to be Persian, Caucasus, Turks. So it is important. Please pay attention to this. In the Turkish Tatar article, when they say Azerbaijani Tatars, they already take this into account as the Azerbaijan as the space. There are two Russian scholars, ethnographists, historians. They offered to the state in the end of the 18th century, let's not call these people as Tatar, but call it as Azerbaijan. But due to some reasons, we don't have time for that. Neither the state nor the scholars accepted it. And at the end of the 19th century, the Azerbaijan had its own public opinion. The Azerbaijani society had the only representative, the only press. There were the brothers. They published Kashkur, Caucasus, the newspapers and magazines. And as you can see yourself and read yourself, I don't want to spend time on that. So it turned out that the Azerbaijani elite already put this issue forward for discussions. So the national identity, how we should call ourselves. There's a very interesting play of words. Those who are on the other bank of the Araz are Azeri, and on the other side Bijan, like without formation, without flesh in place in literary translation. So the good play of words. And there was the question also raised that time, so why do you don't call yourselves as Turkish Azerbaijanis? And in the end of the 19th century, this notion popped up. Mehmet Ağa Şahtatlı in the Kaspi newspaper had a number of articles where he offered to call Azerbaijanis not Muslims or Tatars, but to call them the Azerbaijani Turks and call their language the Azerbaijani language. There was some information that Azerbaijani officials applied to the government to publish press newspapers in Azerbaijani, because why? When the Kashkul agreement was made, they were afraid of the Azerbaijani elite's initiatives. I'm not going to go into the details why the Russian government did not accept these names. Neither Iran as calling Azerbaijan, nor with the Ottomans the Turks. So they did not want to accept it. But the initiatives or attempts of the Azerbaijani elite, the Kashkul newspaper, when it was agreed in 90s, they did not allow to Azerbaijanis to issue newspapers. Shahtats had these appeals that these people should be integrated to the Russian. They said, you speak Russian very well, let the elite to speak Russian, and for your population to go for ship breeding. So it was the expression printed in the newspapers. At that time, in the Caucasus, there were 19 newspapers in the Armenian and Georgian languages. When we were speaking about the Muslim people's rights, the Azerbaijani Turks was the greatest nation whose rights were violated. Then the Russian Empire collapsed, there was a revolution, there were freedoms, and the greatest people, Topçu Bashev, Ahmed Baghayev, Alibay Husseinzadeh, they first time started to work very extensively in this field and wanted to print the newspaper in the Azerbaijan language. We have the information. There was the appeal to have the newspaper called Azerbaijan. I didn't see these documents, therefore I cannot refer. But I brought it from the archives from Russia. In 1905, he applied to the government. And on the second page, you can see his appeal on issuing the newspaper called Azerbaijan. In the political stance, this part was not called Azerbaijan, because on the other side, in 1858, there was the official newspaper called Azerbaijan issued. It was in the Persian language, but we don't count for it as the Azerbaijani language, the newspaper in the Azerbaijan language. So he wrote here that this newspaper should be in the Azerbaijani language, but he was not allowed to do it. As you remember, there was a popular newspaper, Hayat, so they wanted to rename this into Azerbaijan, but they were not allowed to do it. So it comes to the following. In 1919, starting from the end of the century, Azerbaijan, the Azerbaijanis, as the name of the population, and the initiatives to issue the newspapers called Azerbaijani were there. But why the government did not allow it? But the question of national identity pops out. And the Azerbaijani elite who wanted to answer this question, why they did not want to accept the word Azerbaijan, Azerbaijanis. It's a very interesting thing. There's the answer. There's the word, but for that people to feel themselves as Azerbaijanis, they don't have this consciousness. This was the answer. And the other reason is our intellectual, our great elite people, they first represented themselves as the representative of the Turkish world, of the Muslim Ummah. And as you know this concept very well, where the roots arise, why. So the political Turkism came out, and I want to underline one thing here. This root, philosophically, religiously, had really very realistic political reason. Darkhanum said, the Russian Empire's Muslims' rights were the most violated rights. And Azerbaijan, the Azerbaijani well-known people, prominent people, understood that they could not fight for their rights alone against the Tsar Russia. They did not establish any revolutionary movements or parties. They decided to fight together with the Muslim nations of Russia. In 1905, this was the Russian Muslims Congress, first Congress, all Russian Muslim Nations Congress, and they participated there, and the goal was to stand for the cultural rights. It was about the cultural rights first. In the first Congress, Topçu Bashev made a speech. He was speaking, we're not talking about the Muslims, we are the successors of Turks, so the Turks' inheritance came out. And it was in line with the well-known concept. It was a great achievement. One was saying Turks Islam theories, but the greatest point of this was that the Turks were taken out from the Islamic Ummah and put on the national. So it was not about the Turks and Azerbaijanis. It was the decade experience. If it was the name Muslim, but then National Party also was called with the name of Muslim. Despite this, the struggle was with the Turkish line. The name of Azerbaijan came out to the political arena only 10 years later. Within those 10 years, the new generation of politicians, Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh came out, 10-15 years. This quite young generation, and Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh. He spoke about the National Democrats, the Turks. It was developing with a high level of dynamics, and ultimately Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh would become the founder of the Azerbaycançılık, the nation of Azerbaijan, the country of Azerbaijan. So this ideology is a very systematic one. Just want to say one more time that I think in the first meetings of the Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh, this theory of being Azerbaijani was already visible. He traveled across Azerbaijan. He met with the elite, with the people, and the Azerbaijani people. And as a result of his visits, he had a very good, well-known article called Iranian Turks, where he wrote about the Iranian Azerbaijanis calling Azerbaijani Turks and Azerbaijanis, and he spoke about the role of their role in the history. And a little bit about the concept of Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh. About the national identity, he laid down the basis of Azerbaijani, or being Azerbaijani. Azerbaijanis as in the national meaning. He disclosed three relatives, tribe, describing the stages of Azerbaijan. Then the nation and the nationality. So if they come together, and then the national unity or cultural unity comes across, and he saw this as the nationality. So they have the territory, they have the language and cultures, but to become a nation, there are conditions, and he showed them. And the most significant is to have a unity of people, to have the national consciousness. And have the national consciousness to become nation from nationality. It has conditions. So to know your history very well, to restore the national memory, to know the language well, that the elite has a great function, and then that the greatest part of it, that they have their national origin, national consciousness. So there is the concept of national consciousness. In order to have this concept in practice, there were no good conditions. Why there were no conditions? Because all these articles after 1915 started to publish open word, where the basis of Azerbaijani ideology was put forward. So it was issued when the First World War started, and Azerbaijan, including Caucasus, turned into the frontline area. There was the martial law, and Mehmet Emin Rasulzadeh, that time, the word of Azerbaijan used very much, the word of Azerbaijan is used very much, but he so far did not raise the issue of Azerbaijan as a political slogan, and they maintain the Azerbaijani Turks concept. In 1917, the revolution, Soviet revolution, removed all the barriers. I'm finishing. I'm in a good place now, actually. So, a rare point. First time, the word Azerbaijan, Mehmet Rasulzade also said that, despite the fact he was the founder of ideology, but he confessed that the first time the idea of Azerbaijan, Nasib Bey Yusuf Beyli did it on a political arena. It was in 1917, in March 15 days after the February bourgeois revolution. In Ganja, in Shah Abbas Mosque, there was a great demonstration, and Nasib Bey there, first time, established this party, and he had the first meeting to the people, and he said, first time, Viva the Azerbaijani Autonomous Republic, Azerbaijani independence, and first time he used this, and it was the basis for the political movement. As you know, officially in April and May 17 in Baku and Moscow, it used to be Caucasus, and then All Russian Muslims Congress. At both congresses, spoke about the future Russian setup, statehood setup, and the requirements of the Muslim nations. So both reports were made by Mehmet Rasulzade. You can see the slogans for Russia, Democratic Federative Republic, and for the nations to have the national territorial integrity or autonomousness within the federation. Then it has turned out that the Azerbaijani autonomousness was put forward as a slogan. It's very important. In the Russian Congress, Mehmet Rasulzade touched on a very important point. Until that period, if all Muslims came together at the end of that Congress, Mehmet Amin said, to unite again, we need to separate each nation in the federation. The Russian Federation should have its own flat, and Azerbaijanis should also have their own separate state. When the Azerbaijani Republic, the name was called, so it turned out that there were great enemies to it. Who are these enemies? Russia, the temporary government, then Bolshevik government, then the Armenian national powers, and the Iranian power. Russia and Armenian, in Russia and Armenia, Armenians, they were opposing this, opposing the Azerbaijani autonomous republic, so they were against this word autonomous. And the Azerbaijani map, there were the plans that the territory should have been divided amongst 3 countries, and in these areas you know what happened. But the position of Iran, they already had the name Azerbaijan, and it was against Azerbaijan, the name of Azerbaijan. The first reaction, more than 70,000 Iranian citizens live in Azerbaijan. Most of them were Azerbaijanis, and they gave the first reaction in 1918. It was the members of the Iranian Democratic Party in Azerbaijan. First time they as if issued the newspaper in the Azerbaijan language. In that cliché, the name of the newspaper is called Azerbaijan is an inseparable part of Iran. Why they were afraid of this? Because they thought that the Musavat party, they were against this. I'm finishing. And only the Azerbaijani, when the Azerbaijani independence statement was announced, the name of Azerbaijan came to the political meaning. And you can see its significance the first time. It confirmed the existence of the Azerbaijani people, geographically, ethnically, and turned into the political meaning. In September 1918, there was another event. After a long time, ultimately, the first official newspaper in the name of Azerbaijan was issued in Ganja. And finally, after all these events, the Iranian state, on an official level, was very against. There was a great campaign against the calling the country as the Azerbaijani Republic. They were all Azerbaijanis, actually. Ethnically, they were Azerbaijanis. They were against it, against this name. The main goal was to prevent this geographical area to be called Azerbaijan. They got the signal from Turkey, and they wanted to unite the northern and southern Azerbaijanis under the name of Azerbaijan. The Iranian government applied to this conference, opposing the name of the Azerbaijani Republic, and in the Paris Peace Conference, 2 minutes, please. And the last, and in the Iranian press, there was a great campaign, and they demanded it to refuse the word Azerbaijan. I just want to show you how difficult it was to keep this name. And Mehmet Emir Asilzadeh had a number of articles. He had a program. And the answer to all this, and as you can see the answers, what is the root for this? He thought not the geographical meaning should be given to the name of Azerbaijan, but as should be given the national meaning. That they speak the same language, we build the state, and its name should be given to that state. And finally, I could have spoken about its significance, but in the end, I want to express my view that, yes, the Iranian part, our part, confessed that there was no territorial claim, but there was the basis for this. The main was that this name was given. It was really significant. It was significant because when the republic was called Azerbaijan, the leaders, long-standing leaders, actually united the separated Azerbaijani people and territories, uniting them under one name. They ensured this. And today, when we say the people of Azerbaijan, we can imagine many million, 30, 35 million people named Azerbaijanis, and on the other side of the Araz, having the state of Azerbaijan allows our compatriots living on the other side of Araz to feel the same region. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention.